skies and temperatures in the 80s, greeting a rather large crowd of close to 10,000 here at Winnipeg Speedway. The occasion, the 1987 Coors Challenge Tractor Pulling Showdown. Good afternoon, I'm Mike Beauregard, your host for this afternoon, where close to 28 competitors from across Western Canada and the United States have gathered. They will try their luck in 3 categories: the 4x4 pickups, the 2-wheeled standards, and the open modified class. We also have a few special features for you. The Monster Truck Show featuring Transit's gift to trash compacting, the infamous beater eater himself, Bigfoot. Should be a lot of fun. For more on today's activities, the Coors Challenge Showdown, let's go upstairs.
Thanks a lot, Mike. And upstairs we really are. When we first came in to the center here today, we looked at this wonderful little cabin they have up here to announce the races. We figured air-conditioned, this is going to be great, but it is a sweat box up here, not only because of the heat, but because of the action we're going to see here today. Fantastic-looking rigs out there. Bert, who are you betting on if you're a betting man today?
Well, first class out today is the 4-wheel drive trucks, and I'd be looking at the Bobtail Rat with Sean Compton, and the 2-wheel drive trucks, the Dirt Grabber, Rambo, or Dr. Hook, any one of them. They're well wild machines. And in the open tractors, I guess we'd be looking for Short Fuse 2 or the Colonel. The 2 big tractors here today. A good bet for, I think maybe you could send out the Rev for a wager on one of those, Jake.
Okay, thanks a lot. We'll be back with more of the Coors Challenge 87 after this. I'm Brother Jake Edwards, and welcome to a hot day in June for the Coors Challenge 87 Tractor Truck Pull. I'm along with Bert Campbell. Bert, it's going to be a great day today.
Great day today, Brother Jake. There's almost 13,000 people in the stands, and they're still coming in. Track boss is getting all set here to let the pullers know exactly what they're supposed to do out here this afternoon.
Other than that, and when I wave the flag for you guys to stop, I want you guys to stop. Okay? And also, when you're hooking and unhooking, please have your hands visible so that I can see them. You betcha. Okay? Other than that, any questions?
I think this guy might have a question. He's blocking his ears because it's extremely loud here today. And who are we going to see here first? Who's out in the track?
First one out today is Luck and Determination. Lynn Lucken out of Winger, Minnesota, with a 1987 Ford Ranger, 572 cubic inches. A lot of horsepower in this one, Brother Jake. 15 by 18 by 34-inch CPEC pulling tires. The Lucken family up here out of Winger, Minnesota.
Now, if you've never seen a tractor truck pull, you'll know that the back sled they're pulling is called a weight transfer machine. And what happens is the weight travels from the back of the sled all the way to the front. The further down the track, the heavier it gets.
Let's just watch him here right now. Luck and Determination, Lynn Lucken out of Winger. Not going to get too far, Jake.
I think he's going to need a little more luck and determination. 167 feet or so.
Yeah, somewhere.
Looks like a real good pull. And the art of TV is great because we're going to get a chance to see how these machines move out in slow motion, and you can tell how much power is being driven to those wheels. He's getting a little sideways here, Bert.
He couldn't have been hooked up quite straight. It sort of pulled him right over there. I think he's... Look at that cab shake. These are all built in their own shop back there in Winger.
167.5 feet, luck and determination. And I know he'll be back. Great-looking truck.
Our next unit out here is Bobtail Rat, Sean Compton from Darlingford, Manitoba. Sean's been driving since he was 16 years old. That's his dad standing on the right there, always giving him the last-minute information on how the track is and what's the best way to pull it. Trent Forsyth hooked in the back, and Alan Brown on the sled. Let's watch him now. Sean Compton with Bobtail Rat. Over 600 cubic inches, a marine block Chevy engine in this one. Over 800 horsepower.
Oh, he's really getting down. Look at this. Just flying that dust back to that sled. Oh, he's got a great pull going, Bert.
Looks like he's taking her out for a ride right out the end.
Fantastic.
And there he is. He's got the flag. He's out the end.
And the crowd absolutely going berserk, showing their approval for Bobtail Rat. In slow-mo, you'll notice exactly how much power is going to those rear wheels. You're going to almost hear or see the smoke coming off the tires, if that's at all possible on dirt.
Nothing's impossible in this tractor pulling and truck pulling, Jake. It's
Bobtail Rat. That's a full pull.
There he goes, Sean Compton out of Darlingford, Manitoba. The frame on this truck was built by Lee Sandulak out of Carmen. You'll see Leo here a little later on in the two-wheel drive class.
Magnum Force up next, and that is Dennis and Eidenschenk?
Eidenschenk, yeah, from Detroit Lakes. Denny built this truck quite a few years ago. He's been coming up to Canada to the Carmen Pole every year. We've had him up in Toulon. He's a really fantastic competitor. He owns a parts business down in Detroit Lakes.
Man, really check the power of that engine.
492 cubic inch, 800 horsepower Ford pickup.
And here he goes. He's almost going all the way to the end. Is he going to make it? No. I don't think he made it. It almost sounded like something broke there.
There's a little clunk, all right. A lot of weight hanging on the front. He's up around that 260 foot. We'll see 258 feet 5 inches for Denny Eidenschenk.
Now, does that weight keep the front end down, Bert?
It helps transfer the weight to the back wheels because the weight is pulling down on the front of the truck like that. And once he hooks onto the sled, it pulls it right down tight to the ground. 258 feet 5 inches for Magnum Force.
That's a pretty good run. That's almost all the way, the 300 foot. Here's some lovely spectators out here today checking out the hot weather in June. The Coors Challenge 87 tractor truck pull. We're going to see some tractors come up a little later on.
A little later on, we've got some 4,000 horsepower tractors out here.
Next truck, S-Tension.
A brand new truck this year from the Widowich Corral. Jack Widowich out of Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. S-Tension from the company they own down there, STS Trucking in Detroit Lakes. 598 cubic inch Chevrolet engine on this one, 900 horsepower. Looks like it's got a full blower on there, probably running on alcohol. Sure enough, alcohol injection. And
looks like the blower's starting to smoke a little bit, Bert. Could be some trouble for him.
Could be. A real beautiful looking truck. Notice how far out to the front he's got his weights hanging.
And not a tremendously good pull for him. I don't think he's going to be totally satisfied with that pull, Bert. And I guess they probably have to tune the trucks up as they go on in the racing season to fine-tune everything until they can get it running right, till they get it hooked up just the way they want.
Well, quite often you'll find them tuning right in the pit area between pulls if they don't think everything is running quite right.
Yeah, you can see the smoke just blaring off that engine, so that gave him a little trouble, and we suspect right here in Control Central that may be why he only ran about 190 feet.
Jack Widowich out of Detroit Lakes. The Widowich family is all here today.
You know, you go from the new to the old. Would you look at this truck? This is a classic-looking truck.
Plum crazy. Al Christensen out of Medicine Hat, Alberta. He's got a 454 cubic inch Chevrolet engine, about a 1953 GMC. There he is, 454 cubic inches, all the way from Medicine Hat, Alberta.
Oh, he's got a good pull going. Fantastic.
True enough. He's up around.
Look at the dust he's pushed back there.
208 feet for Al Christensen out of Medicine Hat, Alberta.
It's wonderful to see an old truck like that, and I'm sure a lot of our car-crazy fans, truck-crazy fans who like that old nostalgic look will just love to see that kind of horsepower blasting out of an old vehicle like that and going for a good pull. Plum crazy pulls 208 feet.
Plum crazy is a good way to describe Al Christensen, too. We've met Al a few times. He sure has himself a good time when he's out pulling. A lot of our vintage car and truck fans will probably be very upset when they see a truck like that out on the track all beefed up too, because it's a beautiful looking unit. They figure it should be in a showroom. Here's Dusty Rose.
I understand this is a woman.
That's right. Sarah Luckin out of Winger. This is Lynn's wife. She's the driver of this unit. She does a lot of the wrenching herself. She works on the truck in the pit in the between pulls. Sarah Luckin out of Winger, Minnesota.
Well, I'll tell you, the men are going to have their hands full today because she looks like she's going for a full pull. It doesn't look like anything's going to stop her, and the dust is flying. I guess that's probably a pretty good name they got going for her. Dusty Rose. She's going all the way, Bert.
620 cubic inches of power and pulling power. Right out the end. We've got 2 full pulls now.
Oh, and the crowd absolutely loves her here today.
Sean Compton out the end, and Sarah Luckin followed him all the way. There she is, Sarah Luckin.
Here we've got the men and the women competing.
Man, look at the replay on this. All four tires are absolutely pulling. She doesn't have any problem keeping it in line. Looks like she's hooked up real good. I guess once you get in that groove, there's nothing that can stop you. You probably feel that in the truck, and you know you're going to have a fantastic run.
She really had a fantastic pull. Every year they put new bodies on these trucks. They've got something different all the time. He's got a 2-wheel drive puller sitting in the pit area, a 1985 Cougar. But the Luckin family, and here's another truck that used to belong to the Luckins, buried treasure out of Steinbach, Manitoba, Emil Boudouin.
And he's got some customization done to that. It looks like it's chopped down. It's a chopped down version of it. It looks real hot. Fantastic looking truck.
It's got a 400 cubic inch engine in here, 750 horsepower. It used to be called King Cobra. And the Luckin's daughter, Shelley, used to drive this truck.
Look at that rear end just pull right down. The suspension on these are absolutely fantastic. And he looks like he could have a pretty good run going for him.
Boy, does he ever sound good. Emil Boudouin is going to be very happy with this one. His first real year of pulling. He pulled last year a few times with this unit, but this year he'll be into it for the whole summer.
We're going to go down trackside right now. Beauregard is down there, and he'll be talking to one of the competitors, and we'll have a chance to hear what she has to say about her racing career.
Okay, Sarah Luckin, a full pull aboard Dusty Rose. You have to be pleased about that.
I sure am.
No problems at all?
Well, yes, I didn't know if I was going to be able to make the pull at all. When we locked in my right hub, the locker cracked in 3 places, and I went beyond lock. So I didn't know if that wheel was going to work for me.
What did you do to turn it around?
I just went out there and gave it my best shot.
Okay, your husband Lynn is also involved here. And you have a friendly rivalry going here? Or?
No, we pull as a team. I said, when it becomes a rivalry, my truck stays home.
All right, thanks, Mike. Boy, we're going to have some hot stuff coming up here. Special pulled by Bigfoot. It's driven by Janice Oliver, St. Louis, Missouri. And this should be real hot. Look how high that back hitch is up there in the air. This is going to be hot. Normally, they don't really go out and pull, do they, Bert?
No, the monster trucks are generally climbing over cars and smashing cars, but here's a real demonstration pull this afternoon with Janice Oliver.
Look at the suspension on that. I mean, things are done in chrome. You look up through the cowling of the truck, and you can actually see the engine. You see everything. The front end is now starting to fly off the ground. This is real torque at its best. Bigfoot.
Notice the box on the weight transfer. Alan is shooting it back and forth. They're trying to get the front end of this truck up to make a really good show here this afternoon.
I mean, this thing would haul down a stadium.
And Janice Oliver never says die. Like, it doesn't matter what the challenge is. She's going to go out there and go after it. And here she is out here one more time this afternoon.
Unbelievable. I understand. How is it? The rear end also steers a little bit, too, doesn't it? They have some kind of hydraulic system that actually steers the rear end, Bert?
Yeah, each end steers. It'll catwalk right across the track, actually. It'll turn
unbelievable.
both ends.
A real crowd pleaser here, the Coors 87 Tractor Truck Challenge. One big hot day in June. Check the slow-mo out on this.
Doesn't that look fantastic? Doesn't it ever look pretty? One fantastic machine.
Front end bouncing up and down. We'll take a look at the stats here for you to round things up. Stats for the 4-wheel drive trucks. In first, Sarah Luckin, Winger, Minnesota. A 300-foot pull with Dusty Rose. Tied with Sean Compton. He's from Darlingford, Manitoba. 300-foot pull in the Bobtail Rat. Rounding out the top 3, Denny. He's from Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, taking a Magnum Force truck, that's what he calls it, to a full 258-foot .5 pull. Great jobs for all these folks. Stay tuned. 2-wheel drive pickups are next on the Coors Challenge 87. And we're back at Winnipeg Speedway with the Coors Challenge. And up right now, it's time for the 2-wheel drive trucks. Talk about some trucks to look for here. You'll see Rambo, which is a Dodge owned by Ron Wachinski from Winnipeg. Dirt Grabber, a Corvette by Don Sherman. He's from Brandon. The new kid in town, Chevy, Dan Bacon from Regina, an Old Blue 2, and a GMC, Jim Carter from Kenton, Manitoba. And it looks like just about everybody made it here today. There's some hot weather out here. The youngsters are up on the booth, and there's a real youngster up here today, Bert.
Boy, that one's enjoying herself, too. First unit out here this afternoon is going to be Dr. Hook in the two-wheel drive class. Lee Sanduluk has done a lot of the building on some of the other units you've seen out here so far. Lee has quite a shop at home. Isn't that a fantastic-looking 1973 El Camino, Jake?
Look at the hydraulic system on there. There's so much money tied up into these vehicles. It's absolutely amazing how anybody would sit back and put that much money into a unit.
There's a good shot of Lee down there right now. Lee's got over $25,000 just in the engine alone, Jake. So you know he's got a lot of money tied up in this unit. I would tell you he's a farmer from Graysville, but everybody thinks the farmers aren't doing so well right now, so we'll just let that go, and we'll tell you he's a truck builder.
Well, obviously, this man has had a bumper crop. Dr. Hook, it looks mean, and I'm excited. I can't wait to see this baby go down the track.
Over 600 cubic inches here and over 1,300 horsepower, Jake. It's full-blown and alcohol injected. And Lee's been all over the United States with this one. He's been down to Louisville and all over Canada in the Calgary Saddle Dome a couple of times with it. Here he goes. Let's watch him now. Dr. Hook, Lee Sanduluk out of Carmen, Manitoba.
It almost looks like those rear tires are almost wrinkling at the back. Is there a special kind of tire they got on there, Bert?
Well, there's hardly any air pressure in the hull, Jake, and they are turning at almost 100 miles an hour, so I think you'd probably wrinkle, too, if you were wrapped around a rim at that speed.
No kidding. It looks like he's got a pretty good pull. You can smell the alcohol in the air. And
sure
boy, that's putting out a lot of ponies right there for Dr. Hook.
A real crowd pleaser. Lee Sanduluk up here. Really good pull for Lee. 276 feet, 10 inches.
Look at that cowling of that truck just shake all over the place. You can just imagine how much horsepower is being put to those rear wheels. Unbelievable.
Fantastic unit. And there's the injector on Lee's unit right there, part of the $25,000 expense to that engine.
You think he looks satisfied, Bert?
He looks like he's quite content with that one. This is Ron Wachinski with Rambo coming in here right now.
Is Sly Stallone driving this one, do you think?
I don't think so, although sometimes to watch Ronnie, you kind of wonder.
Can you imagine if he put this in one of the movies, come out with machine guns and everything? It'd be kind of neat going through the jungle. Sly Stallone driving Rambo.
Well, wouldn't you go through the jungle in a hurry with something like this?
It wouldn't be. You don't think you need a machete?
Owned by Wachinski Brothers. There's 3 brothers here, and they have 3 units here today. Here he is, Ronnie Wachinski, with Rambo, 427 cubic inch Chevy in this Dodge pickup. Kind of a strange combination, but it works. And he's taking her down for quite a ride, Jake. He's getting her way on down to the far end of the track.
This looks like a fantastic pull for him. You know, when he came over to the media press conference we had a couple of days ago, this was one of the trucks that they fired up in the backyard. And I'll tell you, just about everybody from the media had their ears pinned right back and was almost in shock. It's a wonder we didn't lose anybody.
Yeah, it's a really fine-looking truck, I'll tell you. 294 feet, 7 inches for Rambo, so he'll be happy with that. He's only about 5 feet short of a full pull. And there's one that's really enjoying the track and the entertainment here this afternoon.
Man, would you look, you talk about old vehicles coming on the track, would you look at this one? This is unbelievable. It's a 34 Ford Coupe pickup. The engine is a Chevy, and the hometown boy is from Darlington, Manitoba, Sean Compton. Tell us a little bit about Sean. How long have you been doing this?
Sean's been out here already today with Bobtail Rat. This unit they bought last year from a fellow in Roland, Manitoba, and they moved the engine right out to the front. They couldn't keep the front end down. It looked pretty with the engine back, but the unit was always standing right on its hind legs, so they put the engine right out about 6 feet further ahead to keep the weight down. It's got another one of these over 600 cubic inch marine block Chevys. Strange Brew with Sean Compton, and he's having a little bit of a problem here. He's not running real well.
Almost looked like he was shifting gears. Now, they only got 1 gear in these things, don't they?
Yeah, in these units, yeah, they've only got 1, but they can't shift on the fly, that's for sure. They can pick another gear.
Almost sounded that's exactly what he did. It sort of lost power a little bit.
He had a power problem there for sure. Sean Compton, he did get a pretty good pull out of it, even considering he had a bit of a problem there.
In slow motion, you might even see the thing just sort of hesitate here a little bit.
245 feet for Sean with Strange Brew. There he is.
That is an awesome piece of machinery. Strange Brew, 245 feet.
Our next unit out here is Brian Prstensky from Grand Rapids, Manitoba. And Brian is running about a 1947 Dodge pickup, I think he told me. I'm not sure about the year of this one. But he's got a Hemi in this one, a Dodge Hemi. 392 cubic inches, but he's putting out around 900 to 1,000 horsepower. And middle-aged crazy is a good way to describe Brian Prstensky, too.
I'd almost look at this thing and call it the psychedelic relic, the way the colors are all over the place.
But it's a pretty truck.
And it looks like it's really picking up some good dust there. Lots of torque. Oh, he's really moving down the track. Tires are bouncing on the front end.
Just listen to this Hemi. It sounds like a really fine-tuned machine. And there's nobody knows Hemis like Brian Prstensky. He can pick out a bad cylinder from across the track.
He's gone all the way, Bert.
Yes, sir.
He's gone all the way.
300 feet.
Full pole, middle-aged crazy.
Boy, Brian will be happy with this one.
On right up the end for a touchdown. There's another one of your Chrysler.
There he is. Middle-aged crazy. Boy, a fine pole for Brian Prstensky. And nothing makes Brian happier than something like that. Once you get to know Brian a little better, you understand how much pulling means to him.
The fans here, I hope, don't have too bad an allergy condition, because the dust is just being kicked up all over them, and they're hanging in. The crowd here, over 12,000 people today, and they'll get a chance right now to look at Old Blue 2. Tell us a little bit about this truck.
Well, Old Blue 2 was built by Tim McCullough in Carmen a couple of years ago, and he had a pretty good pulling season with it for a couple of years, and he sold it to Jim Carter in Kenton, Manitoba. And Jim had this engine on a tractor last year. He put a blower and injector on it. The 1972 GM pickup, and it sure does a good job. A lot of power in this unit, over 1,000 horsepower, Jim figures, with this one. Oh, trouble here.
A little bit of trouble. Little bit of trouble.
Something stopped Jim very shortly after he just got rolling there. I don't think he's going to be very happy with this when the driver gets out and looks under that like that.
Going to the rear end.
Have another look at it right away.
He seems to get up fairly quickly, and it looks like all the power's going to the rear wheels and stuff, and it's really...
a lot of stuff coming down from underneath there. You see that? Jim Carter's got himself a big bill to contend with when he gets his unit home today.
I guess he'll be a little blue. Not only his truck is blue, he's probably feeling a little blue also.
That's for sure. Old Blue 2.
We'll be back and talk with Jim Carter when the Coors Challenge 87 returns. Coors Challenge, the last truck out, Old Blue 2, had a bit of trouble, and we're going to go down to the pit area to see what Mike Beauregard has been able to find out. Mike, if you can hear us, tune us in now, will you?
Jim Carter aboard Old Blue 2. Jim kind of pulled up halfway. What happened?
Well, last weekend when on my last run I broke my drive shaft, and I checked everything out, put a new one in, and I think there must have been something wrong with the transmission that I hurt last week, and it let go this time. I really don't know for sure. It locked everything solid, and gonna have to pull it apart tonight and find out for sure.
And a bit of smoke coming out of there.
That's what they say. I just heard some strange noises. I couldn't see anything. I really don't know.
That's kind of a humbling experience when your truck finally breaks down. He's got a bunch of work ahead of him. Back to the two-wheel drive truck action with dirt grabber Don Sherwin from Brandon. What about this guy?
Don Sherwin, he's the tech boss for the Manitoba Tractor Pullers Association this year. Don has built this truck, or this two-wheel truck. I guess you can't call it a truck because it's more of a Corvette-looking vehicle. It's a 1973 Corvette, 1983 Corvette. He's running a Keith Black Hemi in here, Jake. A Keith Black Hemi is a total aluminum block and aluminum heads, full-blown and alcohol injected, and he's got, I'd say he's pushing almost 1,500 horsepower with this unit.
Man, it almost looks like he really took up halfway down the track, and he got more power, and it started to pull a little harder over there, and he's got a good run happening for him, and he's gone all the way.
Yes, sir. He took her right out the end. Don Sherwin from Brandon, Manitoba.
Crowd loves to see a Corvette pulling a bunch of stuff behind it. You don't see too many trailers being pulled by the modern-day Corvette, and this one here is pulling lots of weight, so it's kind of a fantasy come true to life right here at the Coors Challenge.
It's different, all right, Jake. Don Sherwin, oh, there he is. A good look at Don. And Don's really proud of that engine. He won't tell you how many cubic inches it is. It says that's classified information. But as far as horsepower is concerned, he's got to be well over 15 to 1,800 horsepower, and he does a really fine job.
Well, when you look at the stat sheets on it, it says 525 horsepower with slight modifications.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, I don't know about that one.
510 cubic inches, I think, is a little underrated, too.
The Prairie Rat is up next right now, Bert. Gord Woodsky?
Gord Woodsky out of Carsland, Alberta. He's got a late 70s Chevy pickup truck. A long ways down here from Carsland, Alberta. 850 miles to come to pull it this weekend.
This is a real clean-looking truck, and it's got a lot of power, and it is really torquing on down the line. He's got a good pull happening here.
His front wheels aren't hardly touching the ground at all. We'll get him towards the end of the tractor, see if he can't get the front end up really good. There he goes.
Whoa!
That's why we call these the two-wheel standers.
Wow. It's almost like he almost bowed to the crowd as he just completed that 300-footer.
A little bow to the crowd. Took her right out the end for a full ride. Look at that. Isn't that pretty?
And that's a nice touch. You've got to be really good on the gas pedal not to slam your front end down in a hurry and wreck everything.
Well, I can tell you all about that. I drive a tractor too, Jake, and I had a little problem in Moosomin here with mine a few weeks ago. Slammed her down on the front end pretty hard, but we kept on pulling.
As you can see by the crowd, they're just absolutely ranged up for this event, and they're hanging in well over 12,000. I understand about 4,000 or 5,000 couldn't get into the track. There was no place to park.
That's true. They were lined up for a good mile and a half coming into the track there.
This sounds like a new Eagles tune, New Kid in Town. And is he the new kid in town, this guy, or what?
Well, he's not a new kid anymore, Jake. He's been on the track now for, this will be about his third year of pulling. Dan Bacon out of Regina. Dan and his partner, Linda O'Sullivan, travel around to all the different pulls, and this is one of the big ones they've gotten to. Most of these guys are down out of Regina. They had a big two-day pull in Regina yesterday, and most of them drove all night to get here today. New kid in town, he'll get the front end up, probably, and it'll just level right out. Stay there. We'll see how he does. Dan Bacon with the Macon Bacon Special here, new kid in town. Come on, Dan, get the front end up here. Let's have a good pull out of this unit. Not coming up. There we go.
Oh, starting to lift a little bit.
No, it's all done.
Not going to make it to the Bacon line.
266 feet 2 inches for Dan Bacon here right now. Oh, looks good in the slow-mo. We got a better picture of him here now.
The weight absolutely buried the back end of that truck. But no, that's a fair pull, though. 266 feet 2 inches for the new kid in town. And it's a funky-looking truck, too.
Just a little different, all right. And speaking of the weight weight transfer is built by Alan Brown out of Burden, Manitoba. And it is one of the most one of the classiest weight transfers in the whole NTPA circuit right now. It is the envy of a lot of the Grand National pullers. All across Canada, Alan's in demand with his sled now. He's about 4 years in the making. He's finally put a lot of the finishing touches on it this year.
So he's in demand a lot.
He's in demand. He puts a lot of time on the road every summer. The place where he works in Verdun, they kind of wonder what he looks like. They don't see him from week to week sometimes. Road Ripper, Brian Giesbrick got a landmark.
That's a pretty awesome looking truck. It's not as pretty as maybe some of the rest of them. It's sort of, you know, it's got a weird look to it.
It's a little different, all right. Yeah, he's got some work to do to it yet, and he's got more work to do with the engine than anything else. He seems to die out there as he gets about halfway down the track. Give it another little tug at it here. We can just get it out of gear. We'll be all right.
Doesn't sound like it's running all that healthy.
No,
I think it's missing a little bit.
I'm sorry we made a mistake on that.
The Road Ripper.
It's Brian Giesbrick from Landmark. He didn't even come all the way from Hilda, Alberta. Brian's not very happy with that. We've got a fire extinguisher under there. Yes, we did have a little fire under this one this time. We had a fire extinguisher out there. 198 feet for the Road Ripper. A little bit of a hard luck case here because Brian Giesbrick got a Landmark. And Landmark is another big pulling area.
That's it for two-wheel drive pickups, Bert. Let's go to the pits where Mike is standing by with a full puller.
A full puller and two-wheel standard, you have to be fairly pleased.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
You walked away with it there, no trouble at all?
Well, it's the first time in the last 4 hooks that I did anything.
Did you find it odd, 3 full pulls in that event?
No, because the track is a little loose, and I think everybody compensated for it, and there's a lot of good pullers right here. We all know how we run, and we know who has to do what.
Some people saying that perhaps it is a little too loose. Your thoughts on that?
It is loose. There's no question about that. I think they were at a disadvantage here in the fact that they're running the show on a stock car track, which every week they water it. There's probably moisture 6 feet deep. You know, they put thousands of gallons, at least they used to when I lived in Winnipeg, every week on this track to get it ready for the stock cars, and then they tried to dry it out for this week, and then I wasn't here last night, but it rained all the way from Regina to Brandon, so I presume you got rain here as well. So, you know, it's pretty hard for the promoter to get it straightened out.
Here are the top three, all tied with full 300-foot pulls. Brian Krastensky, Grand Rapids, Manitoba. And Don Sherwin in second place from Brandon and Dirt Grabber. Gord Witzke from Courselands, and he is on the Prairie Rat. That's it for the trucks. It's time for the tractors next on the Coors Challenge 87. Getting right into the open tractor class. First up, the Sod Buster. Ken Wyszynski from Winnipeg, one of the first two-engine tractors in Manitoba, Bert.
Yeah, we've got Ronnie Wyszynski on the tractor there again. Ronnie drove Sod Buster a little while ago. This tractor was one of the first two-engine tractors. It's got two 383 Chrysler engines. They haven't had a bit of trouble with this unit over almost 7 years of pulling now. That's Eddie Wyszynski on the side there, talking to him, giving him last-minute instructions.
So there's Ed, Ron, and Kent.
That's right. And today you'll see Eddie will be driving the Colonel a little bit later on. This is Ronnie out here right now with the old Sod Buster. Started out in life as a 1950 cockshut 40. It doesn't look anything like a cockshut 40 right now, and he just seems to be bogging right down and running out of power. But he didn't do too bad. He lost a lot of RPMs right there.
Got to get out of shape there. We'll see in the replay where his wheels are starting to turn over. He's really starting to lose it, isn't he? Is that when they start to do that, I guess you got to sort of back off the power till it gets back in the line and then put the power back on?
Well, they know they have brakes. They start to go from one side to the other. They can brake and pull it back and forth from one side to the other. You don't want to use the brakes too much, though, because you do lose a lot of power at that.
A little over 177 feet for him, and not a half-bad run, but I don't think he's totally satisfied with it.
Not likely.
Now, you got to tell me about these guys, the Ellingson brothers. And we've got, again, another brother team.
That's right.
Dave, Dean, and Dale, the 3 Ds of life here. Are they going to show us anything today, do you think?
3D repair up here from Bemidji, Minnesota. 3 engines on this unit.
Unbelievable. A lot of power going to those rear wheels, and he's really starting to smoke it off the line. Looks like he's got a pretty good run going here, Bert.
A really good run. He's doing a bit of braking. These guys, when they pull in a lighter class, in the 7,500-pound class, instead of lifting weights, they just take the front engine off, Jake. Takes them 10 minutes. They go into the pit area. They got a cherry picker on their truck and off with the front engine.
You're kidding.
On the trailer.
Wow, that's exciting. And he's really got to know what he's doing here to handle it. In the slow-mo replay, you can see the front end bouncing all over the place and those 3 engines slamming back onto the suspension. Pretty good run. He's looking at 247 feet and 10 inches for the 3Ds.
The 3D boys out of Bemidji, Minnesota. And now we've got a big tractor out here, Jake. This is Dennis Keating with Short Fuse at a Landmark, Manitoba, and Dennis has 2 Keith Black engines on here. 4,000 horsepower on this tractor.
You're kidding.
And it's just wild. One engine is pointing frontwards, and the back one is pointing backwards. 2 engines, one belongs to Randy Wagamuth and one belongs to Dennis. They put 2 tractors together on this one frame this year, and look at the wheel spin on this unit.
Now, getting almost too much wheel spin would almost be like drag racing a little bit when you take off from the line. You want to get your torque down to your real wheels, get the pull happening, and then apply the power as you go down the track?
Well, they seem to want to get going right off the start. As much wheel spin as possible, it seems. I don't think he's going to be happy with this one. We're not
doesn't look like a real good pull. He's a little over 200 and some odd feet. We'll get the exact distance here in a moment. 4,000 horsepower. That's unheard of.
Yes, sir. Look at the wheel spin in the slow motion there.
Well, he doesn't look too upset. 224-foot pull for Short Fuse, and it's exciting to watch. What the heck is this?
This is Don Anderson with the Blue Ox 2 out of Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, with a Lycoming helicopter engine. Look at the flame on this one.
You know, we talked to him earlier, Bert, and this is what he had to say about the jet and the conventional engine and what the difference is.
It's like any other engine. You know, if you understand the basic principles of intake, compression, power, and exhaust, you take a series of fans and compress the air instead of the piston compressing the air. You spray in fuel steadily instead of just pulling it through the carburetor on the intake stroke. You ignite it, so then you've got a steady flow of air coming in. You've got a steady flow of fuel going in. You've got a steady burn.
Gee, I'm going to have to hook that up to the family car, Bert, and take it down for some groceries.
Yes, sir. You could sure get down to the local 7-Eleven in a hurry with this unit. Don Anderson, over 25,000 RPMs out of this unit, and running in around 17 to 1,800 horsepower. A beautiful-looking tractor built in the shop. Don teaches mechanics at the Detroit Lakes Institute of Technology down there.
Well, it looks like beauty is not going to be any more powerful than the engine, because it's a good thing to look at, but I don't think he's that pleased with that run. That's not a very good run here for him today.
No, Don has really done a lot better over the years. It's not his track here today. The track is loose, as Don Sherwin said earlier. Just listen to that. It's just like having a jet right down the middle of the track there. 209 feet 10 inches for Don Anderson. And incidentally, Don Anderson also built the body for the car Don Sherwin ran with in the two-wheel drive class.
Have you seen that unit run better than that?
Oh, a few years ago, he was really doing a good job with it all the time. But everybody else is building more and more and more power. And here's some of it right here. Here's the Colonel, another addition of the Wachinski brothers. The Colonel has four 454 cubic inch Chevrolet engines, and they're all alcohol injected, something they just put on this year. They're not totally pleased with the performance of the injection yet.
Well, you can imagine the difficulty they could come up with trying to hook 4 engines up in sequence to run perfectly. The Colonel. And he sure is making a lot of dust out there.
Look at him bouncing, right? Golly.
He's got a pretty good run happening right now. It's a powerful run. Trying to keep it in line. That's a pretty good run. We'll have a stat for you in a second to find out exactly how much he did go. And in slow-mo, it looks like you got to hang on to that thing. I don't know if I'd want to get in that cockpit right now.
Anybody who's paying real close attention here will notice there is no alcohol on this tractor yet. The boys were supposed to have it on by this weekend, and it turned out it wasn't ready to go.
So the Colonel, Ed Wachinski, takes the final pull to the longest running tractors with a 279-foot 9-inch distance, followed by the Ellington brothers, 3D rig, 247-foot 10 inches, and the short fuse. Dennis Keating aboard a 224-foot ride. That's it for the pulling, but stay tuned for a visit with the biggest foot family of all when we return on the Course Challenge 87. Everyone's been waiting for the Bigfoot family. Mike Beauregard spoke to Team Bigfoot earlier in the pits.
Okay, with us is the Bigfoot family. We have Janice Oliver, her husband Manuel, and Don Breitweiser from St. Louis, Missouri. And first of all, Janice, I'll ask you, why? Why do you do this?
Well, it's a job just like any other, and maybe it has a little more advantage to it. You know, we get to travel a lot, get to meet a lot of nice people.
Manuel, how did you get into this sort of thing in the first place?
Well, we just met the man on the river playing one weekend, and he kind of liked the idea of a husband-wife team, so here we are.
Don, I understand you had some misfortune a little while back. Maybe you can tell us about that.
Well, I was in a race and dislocated my wrist. I don't really know how I done it, but when I got done that night, it hurt. I come back and raced again the next night and won the next race. But that was 11 weeks ago. I spent 10 weeks in the cast, and I got to wear a brace right now.
Now, I understand you're usually aboard Bigfoot. How many cars do you trample at once?
Well, it just varies. It's anywhere from you run over 2 to 25 or 30. We've run over as many as 100 at one time.
Well, today we've got 6 of the biggest cars we could find, and since Don is insured, Janice Oliver of St. Louis is aboard Bigfoot today. Wow! Holy smokes! She almost flipped that first.
Boy, you don't get much of a chance here. She's just right up on top. The Bigfoot operators like to see how much air they can get under their tires. You'll watch in a minute. She'll hit the car's head on and see how much air she can put under all 4 tires. Watch her from behind.
I bet you her adrenaline was pumping as she went to the side a little bit. Watch the air she catches out here. Holy smokes.
Holy
She is really out of shape there, isn't she?
460 cubic inch Ford V8 in this one. It's got a 671 BDS blower on here, 2 Predator Racing carbs. Look at her go.
Oh, the glass is smashing. I tell you, this is so exciting to watch here today. The hot weather, the sunshine, and lots of this kind of action. The Bigfoot family are here, and they're ready to do some stomping today.
They told us that they couldn't find enough wrecked cars, and they went out to the parking lot and got a couple of cars, so I don't know.
You know what? I thought I saw my car in there. There it is. I'm sure that's my car. I'll have to find a way home with you, Bert. Maybe you can give me a lift. No, you won't. There's your car in the front end.
Oh, yeah. Well, gee whiz, I thought I got away with that today. Bigfoot, 4x4, owned by Bob Chandler out of St. Louis, Missouri.
Have you any idea how this all started?
Bigfoot,
you know, having the big trucks happen to, to crash over cars, how this all got started.
Bob Chandler was one of the originators of the building the Bigfoot trucks, I guess, mostly for show to start with, and then they got into some kind of competition with them. We've seen them on some of the other channels doing racing different trucks on different tracks and running over different cars. It gets to be quite a competitive sport, actually. Janice Oliver never says die. She just drives this truck right to the mat. Look at that. There she's got some air.
Really getting a lot of air today. And I guess over 12,000 people are going to testify to the fact that they have actually seen a Bigfoot. They do live, I'll tell you right now, in the form of a truck, big, huge tires, smashing over cars, and she's really demolishing those cars. They're resting right on the frame.
She just doesn't seem to want to quit. Here's a good shot of her in slow motion coming from behind. Man, that's really impressive.
Got to really hand it to the production crew and the TV cameras who have done just an absolute fantastic job in capturing some of this video action here today. They're out there sweating it up and getting some great shots. Bigfoot Ranger.
This is the other truck. It's also driven by Janice Oliver today. It's a 1985 Ford Ranger with a 571 cubic inch aluminum block, 2 Predator Racing carbs, an 871 BDS blower, and here we have the Aerostar. And Manuel wanted me to tell you that this is completely stock, this Aerostar, except for the undercarriage. 2.5-ton military axles with Detroit Locker tires down below, but everything else about this Aerostar with its 3-liter fuel-injected stock V6 engine. Everything is stock about it except for the undercarriage. Beautiful little Aerostar.
Just amazes me the way those back wheels can turn, too, and spin them right around quickly enough. But I guess you need that kind of action so you really don't get out of shape too badly. Well, they will prevent you from flipping over.
They get on a pretty narrow track, too, and they have to turn quickly, and they can't walk over these units. There she goes. Ho-ho! Janice Oliver is one fantastic driver. She'll pull this unit out of some pretty precarious positions here. Almost into a rollover once or twice, and just a little bit extra gas at the right time, and she's got it sitting back the way it's supposed to be.
Well, you wouldn't want to get stuck in traffic with her behind you or something, and there'd be nothing stopping her, I guess.
Can you imagine if this Aerostar pulled up behind you some Saturday afternoon when you're on your way to the station?
No.
The tires are higher than the roof of most cars.
Just absolutely amazing the way these trucks can maneuver around. And, of course, the crowd absolutely enjoying what's going on here today. It's real good action.
This is Janice Oliver one more time. She's going to take a real charge. The cars are getting beaten pretty badly, and they're not very good to run over now. They're kind of uneven. See how she makes out here.
Piece of cake. Piece of break.
No problem.
No sweat. Holding that old Ford flag high as she goes through the crowd. Well, no, she's not actually going through the crowd.
No,
we wouldn't want that to
she
happen.
doesn't go through the crowd this afternoon. We try to avoid that. The Bigfoot truck's up all the way from St. Louis, Missouri here this afternoon, putting on a fantastic show, and I'm sure a lot of the people here today are here because of the Bigfoot trucks. There's just about over there. Just a little bit extra gas at the right time, and she pulled it out.
I'm sorry we're sounding so excited here today, but we really are excited watching this stuff go down, and it's one of my first occasions. I mean, I've seen little bits of it here and there on TV, but never had the occasion to sit back and watch live actuality happening in front of me. It's just absolutely fantastic.
There he is, Manuel Oliver in the Aerostar Ford, and we've got Janice Oliver in the Bigfoot Ranger right now.
We'll be back with more from Course Challenge 87 in just a moment. Hi, it's Brother Jake again, along with Bert Campbell, and what a great day of tractor truck pulling. The weather, the people, just about 12,000 people in attendance. Fantastic day. We're going to run down some of the things that happened here today. The four-wheel drive class, Sarah Luckin from Winger, Minnesota on Dusty Rose, and Sean Compton from Darling Ford, Manitoba, and Bobtail Rat. Both of them went 300 feet. It was fantastic to watch, and really no surprises, I think, in the two-wheel class trucks.
No, Brian.
From Bemidji, Minnesota, 247 foot 10 inches. And third, Short Fuse, 224 foot pull. Dennis Keating on board. He's from Denmark, Manitoba. And we want to thank a few people here, Bert. There's been some great people. The family, of course, the Bigfoot family, Janice Oliver, Manuel Oliver, Don Brettweister, and also Ron and Don Carrier of He-Man Competition, who organize a lot of the event, and just about everyone else.
Yeah, it was a real great day pulling, Jake, and it was a pleasure working with you.
For Bert Campbell, I'm Brother Jake Edwards for the Coors Challenge Tractor Truck Pull 87. Thanks for watching.